Warm greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. This session is conducted with the support of Water Resource Council of Women Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry in collaboration with W for W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Anubhuti Shekhar and I am the National Youth Representative Community of Wiki Water Resource Council. I am joined by Dr. Mansi Bhargav, who is currently holding the position of National President of Wiki Water Resource Council and also the founder director of W for W Foundation. Welcome, Mansi.
Thank you.
Today, in this session, we are here to listen and know more about Dr. Indumathi M Nambi. Welcome to Monday Munching session, Dr. Indumathi. We are excited to have you on our today's session and eager to hear from you and learn about your journey in the water sector.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here.
I will just give a brief bio about Dr. Indumathi. Dr. Indumathi M Nambi is a professor in the Civil Engineering Department at IIT Madras. She obtained her ME in Environmental Engineering 1993 from the Center for Environmental Studies, Anna University, and her PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering from Clarkson University, USA, and became a faculty member of IIT Madras in 2005. Her research focus has been primarily in the water quality sector, specifically groundwater, industrial wastewater treatment, and restoration of water bodies. She has published over 85 peer-reviewed research articles and guided more than 12 PhD and several master students. She also serves in several expert committees at the national and state level, including Jal Jeevan Mission, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, remediation of contaminated sites with NCEF. She is the founder of Water Chakra, aimed at recovering water and nutrients from urine using waterless urinals since 2018. Welcome once again, Dr. Indumathi. To start the conversation today, we would like to know how did you start your journey in the water sector? When did you decide that water is something that you wanted to indulge in, like you wanted to pursue water in your further future? So what was that time? How did you start your journey in the water sector?
Yeah, I think water, specifically, I took my master's in environmental engineering. But when I went for my PhD to the US, that is where I started working specifically in water and, as you said, in groundwater contamination. So this was a funded project. So I was offered the topic. I before it was not my choice, but then it was really it actually helped me start my research career in a very important field, which is still not completely understood and taken care of, the groundwater contamination issues.
Right. So, Dr. Indumathi, I wanted to know, like, when you started that time, environmental engineering must not be something that the usual crowd or your peers must be taking. Like engineering, we have heard, like civil engineering, chemical engineering, automation, and etc. But why environmental engineering? Were your uh, family supportive of it? Like, were you happy? Because being a woman, it's little difficult to be on the ground and do all the research and everything. So, was there any uh, difficulty choosing environmental engineering and then water, or was it a smooth journey
No,
of taking this decision?
yeah, I think environmental engineering is actually a favorite topic for many women scientists and engineers, particularly in civil engineering. Coming from a civil engineering background, uh, uh, most of the core civil engineering, the structural engineering, most there is always uh, no when you go for a job, there is always a preference for men. I faced it in my own career. Although I was the topper of my batch, None of the civil engineering companies would pick girls when they came for the campus interviews. So it is there is a bias. But when you look at environmental engineering, I feel that there is a lot of sciences. A lot of sciences come together in environmental engineering, and it brings in people from different expertise like chemistry, biotechnology, which are all like biology, microbiology, which are all having a higher percentage of women over the years. So you will find a lot of women in environmental engineering, but actually my choice was based on uh, the interest among the top civil engineering courses. So we have 6 divisions, and I really preferred to do environmental engineering. It was a choice now, and mainly because I was fascinated by the challenges which were out there, which are it opens up a tremendous opportunity. Whereas if you look at other civil core civil engineering, you'll find that it was already most of the design principles are well established, right? So you just have to adapt and modify, and that is also one reason. Environmental engineering was at a very nascent stage when I in the early 90s when I started. A lot had to be done, particularly in India, uh, in the environmental engineering field. So I chose environmental engineering as my master's specialization.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Indumati. Uh, like I was just went through your bio and there it was mentioned about water chakra. So I'm hoping that you are currently still working in the water chakra and others. So we just wanted to get a brief idea about how are you currently engaged in the water sector other than academics, like what you are offering at the campus. Other than that, how are you currently engaged in the water sector?
Yeah. So yes, I think as a faculty, you would normally expect professors to teach and do research. Not many venture into entrepreneurship. But over the last decade or so, I think India is picking up in the area of entrepreneurship, and the government is also encouraging, particularly IITs are encouraging faculty to play a very big role, not only encouraging students and training them to become entrepreneurs, but also be a part of uh, the startups which are coming up in their fields of expertise. So I have been actually supporting a lot of startups in the environment sector by raising funds to take their ideas from research to commercialization. And several of my students were doing research in water treatment in particular, reuse and recycle. And so most of them were hesitant to actually take the plunge from a PhD or a master's to an entrepreneur, because all of us know it's a risky business. Um, when they have an offer in the placement sector, in their campus placement, the job offer, versus giving that up and choosing entrepreneurship, natural tendency would be to go for the job, which is risk free. And particularly PhDs also, they would always want to become faculty rather than venturing into entrepreneurship. So I had to play the lead role. If I don't plunge into it, I cannot motivate my students to do this. So that's how Water Chakra happened, right? So this was an idea which came from our lab on reusing a lot of materials which come, nutrients, water, which come from the human waste. Sanitation is a huge problem in our country, and most of the time, maintenance of the sanitation infrastructure is a challenge, and water availability is a challenge. Although we have a lot of improvement through our Swachh Bharat mission, it's challenge finding a toilet which is well maintained and hygienic in many of the public places. So, to solve this issue, we try to come up with innovation which can recover nutrient, which can recover energy and water from human waste. And this can be commercialized because these products are have a market, and so the profit which comes from the sale of these products can help sustain these toilets and even make the entrepreneurs a profit. Okay, so the idea was very very I would say initially it was challenging to make things work at a scale. We have a pilot running now, and work out the economics and show that it does make a profit. And then the students were encouraged to have a startup. Already we had earlier experience in working with startups. So Water Chakra works is basically coming up with technologies which can not only reuse water but also recover a lot of other materials, chemicals from water. So we have started with human waste, human urine, and also we are looking at industrial effluents. Can we recycle materials, the raw materials back from the effluent, apart from recovering water, and make it easy on the industry to treat the effluent, right? So it doesn't become a liability. Environmental meeting regulations doesn't become a liability, but it is a profit making process of the industry.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Indumati. So just to tell the audience who has joined us, so this series of MM is little different from the other talks that you attend. We are here to focus more about how Dr. Indumati has been in her journey in the water sector. We want to know her as a woman. We want to know how she has struggled being a woman leader, how has she celebrated her little enjoyment, how has she balanced her work and personal life. So this series is little different. So you may feel that we may not talk about a lot of technology, or we may not discuss a lot of academics, but we will be discussing a lot about women in the water sector. So my next question to Indumati, Dr. Indumati is, over these years, how have you managed to balance your work and personal life? Have you ever felt that being a woman, you had to compromise on professional or personal field in any way?
Mm, yeah, I think for everybody, not uh, specifically women, but life is full of compromises, right? So you have a goal, you set a goal, and as you work towards achieving the goal, definitely there will be hurdles, there will be challenges, there will be priorities we have to make. And as a woman, we have additional responsibilities. So more challenging, and you really have to make a choice. It may not be a permanent decision. So depending on the time of your life, you have to make your priorities, set your priorities, right? So you cannot, as a career woman, I see many women very much focused on their career goals, and lose out on important things in life, right? So it is very, very important to have this balance. At different points of life, you prioritize differently, right? So just for example, when I finished my PhD, and I was looking for a job in the US, I had several offers from the industry. But at that time, I had a 1 year old daughter. So I had to make a choice. Uh, and and with no family around, it was difficult to have this work-life balance in the US. With my husband living in a different city, it was even more challenging. So at that point of time, we decided that it's good. It's always good to in India also we have a very we have the career, the prospects will be very good. So we decided to come back to India, and we have never regretted that decision. So at that time, my priority was to bring up my daughter in a safe uh, and within the family environment, within the culture, in the Indian culture and back and the family, close to the family. So we returned. Okay, so that was a compromise we had to make with respect to career. Again, it was not none of the choices can be bad choices if you think about it and you consciously take it without any pressure from others. Okay, and after that also a 1 year old, I didn't want to miss the early stages of my kid. No, I didn't. So I consciously took a break for 2 years after coming back to India because I was away for a very long time. And I wanted, my time with my parents, uh, catch up with what I missed, and also didn't want to miss my time. The early stage of within 3 year old, you see a lot of changes happening in a kid, right? So I didn't want to miss out on that. So I decided to take. I didn't apply to any of the IITs, although there were no there were openings. Um, I I just took freelance consultancy and just stayed at home with my daughter. Of course, I think it's very the difficult choice for current career women. A break in career would not look good on your resume. But at that point of time, I thought I can no, I just want to do this, and the rest and everything else fell in place. With after third year of my daughter, I applied and got into IIT Madras, and she went to school. So it was worked out very well, and I'm very very happy that I took the decision. Although there was a 3 year gap in my career, um, it's not a big deal overall, right? So, and
Right.
to
And
conclude for your question, I
yeah,
think you have to make
yeah.
your different stages of life. No, you have to get things prioritized, okay, so that you don't have any regrets later on, right? So at some point of time, like when at this point of time, like a couple of years ago, you have responsibilities. As women, we have additional responsibilities, right? And we cannot actually, even men can help, but they cannot exactly fit in those shoes, right? So we have to do a bit of ours also. So when it came to managing my career after that, I think being in the Indian environment also, it helps being in a joint family. Uh, Again, you have to compromise. Okay, if you balance if you have people to help with you, your own family members, it's a big boost to your career, right? You don't have to struggle day to day. So, of course, there are compromises again, right? So, and yeah, I think that was a big support to my career, being in a joint family with my in-laws, um, and having my parents close by. So I think overall, coming back to India was the greatest decision I took for my daughter and for myself. Um, yeah, and I have no regrets about it. Everybody, I think, will have different taste, different. I mean, everybody will have a different path in their life, and you similarly happen have to make some choices, and if you consciously make it and keep your people around you happy, and you will also be happy.
Take breaks to prioritize things
Your voice is breaking.
will
Anubhuti?
Yes, Anubhuti, your voice is breaking, but I think you have some issue with the internet. So I will take it over anyway. It was my turn coming up. So thank you so much, first of all, Anubhuti. And thanks, Indumati, to hear you as a human being, because for us, you are that great scientist, very far from us. And I think that Anubhuti's questions brings an end to the first section of our conversation. And we are doing this Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, particularly to understand the presence and participation of women in the water sector, and importantly, to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution they have been making over time. And it is very recent that the contribution of women gets more acknowledged, not only in India, but across the world. So I'm going to start with you with the next section of questions, which is more on these very aspects and looking at the role of leadership. While we have made our way, we all both belong to similar, generation or peer groups. That in that sense, we have made our way in the sector, and it has not been an easy path. And you were already discussing few things. Even when we want to look back and in retrospection, we pick up the easy and beautiful things out of it, but of course we have learned it hard way many things. I think you will agree on that. Let me just point out a thing on leadership, and you were already mentioning to Anubhuti about how you really looked at leadership in your own sector, in your own work, importantly when research and education has to go beyond and look into entrepreneurship, and which is where leadership starts. But looking at the water sector, I'm sure you are going to agree with me that the leadership is a bleak situation, especially for the presence of women. Although you did mention that there are many women in the environmental sector, and here for leadership, we are meaning in both ways. Of course, you do your good work, but a good professional, a good teacher, a good practitioner is not necessarily by default a good leader. Leadership is a pyramidal position. I want to understand from you what may be the reasons that we have so few women leaders, leading organizations, leading associations, leading policies, leading all kinds of things. What may be the reasons you think is stopping us to be in the leadership roles?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I've been asking myself that also.
Yes, we are in the same boat. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think women, most of the women, I would say, I would not be generalizing in this.
Yes.
Um, by nature, we always try to keep a low profile. No, we
Hmm.
don't talk
Very
about what
well put.
we're doing.
Hmm. So
Uh,
true.
we are just means tied to our work. We want to do a good
Hmm.
job, right? Whatever it is, at home or at work, you just put your head into it, and you don't look at no promoting what you are doing. And uh, now there are different at least now there is a social media which is makes it easy to post what you're doing. Okay, but often I think two things. One is time. Women with juggling with work and home and want to make up be a perfect mom and be or a wife or no, and also be a very good be perfect in your profession. That itself is a 200%. You have to give 200% of you to do that. But if you want to grow up in the ladder, I think it is important to do other things like you have to do networking, you have to uh, promote in various forums. No, you should be traveling, and women don't have that much leverage to take trips often. Starting from your, I'm seeing my own PhD scholars and postdocs. No, even if they get a postdoc opportunity, they're unable to go because they have a little kid, um, and there's a family. So they miss out on a lot of opportunities to get that visibility beyond their small circle. And it needs an extra leadership roles come with I think the perception, right? If somebody is looking for promoting somebody who comes to your mind first? The person who always, the person who approaches seniors. You have to go and keep in touch with your boss, find out what he or she wants, and tune your work and keep updating the boss what you're doing. Even though it's out there, the perception of the boss or the person who is decision making authority about a subordinate depends upon what is there in his mind. I think most of the time it is just based on that. The records
Mm.
are always there, but the perception plays a very important role. Uh, uh, I think it's universal. It's not just Indian. So women don't do that extra effort of with one is time, and it's also by nature they don't promote themselves as much as men do. We don't network, we don't have the time and to have like a casual coffee meet. you know
Mm.
uh, so I think all that consciously, I mean, these are important. If the I don't think it's the leadership roles are not coming by because of uh, uh, um, uh, your competence. It is just that these little things we don't pay attention to. We think it's not. We think if you do a good job, you're going to get a raise or you're going to get a promotion. It doesn't happen
Mm.
unless uh, you work towards it. Work in the sense, do all these additional peripheral things,
Mm.
to get to into the minds of the decision making people. And the other important thing is, I think leadership role again comes with probably more responsibilities and probably more travel. And many of the women shy away from that. That could be one reason. But I think if we take care of all these little details, um, and no do more networking, I think after some point of time in your personal life also you get the space to do that when your kids
Mm.
grow up and all that. So yeah, so it has to be the um, it has to probably these things have to be reminded to women, okay, at different points of time. These are the things you need to do, not just work, be very good in your profession, but also do all this. That will take you to a better leadership position. This has to be there from the college level, right?
Mm.
Uh, they should chart out their career path right from out of college. We in IIT we have a course for women leadership course. So where
Mhm.
we train them, give them what are the different qualities a good leader should have. Specifically, as women, what we can do, we bring in like another big thing is like we don't see role models. No, like you rightly said, we don't see as many leaders in women. So we need to keep reminding the youngsters of women leaders out there and talk about their profile and how their career path. I think you're doing an excellent job in your organization to bring in women leaders to share their stories. And if they see us talking, I think they will realize that it doesn't. We are just as a human as they are. It doesn't need any extra. We are not. No, it doesn't need. Everybody came through the same path, and so it. They should have this belief that it is possible uh,
Yes.
it is possible, and you just have to do some, as I told you, some extra steps um, to work towards your leadership roles.
Yeah, you nailed so many points, and I'm so happy that you brought these points. I will take the first point from where you started talking about that women have not been taking it like one has to do this extra effort for many reasons because they're already living that 200-300% life if they are both professional and homemakers. I think I am because I'm working on two research projects. One is Women for Water and one in Women in the Built Environment. I realized by not engaging in that additional activity, we do a big, we leave a big void in the society itself. As you rightly mentioned, the lack of availability of role models. Can I be like this? I felt it so much lacking in our own system, and that's why I'm doing this series, thinking that at least when people listen to you people, they will know that leaders don't have those extra horns. They are the same human beings. You just need that extra little effort, and also the urge to make a difference or bring a change and take along many people. Because first of all, leadership is a genderless concept. It does not have a gender, but somehow we have been trained or ingrained in our culture that leader means a man comes into our mind. And when you find a woman leading something, you still need time to adjust, which has changed. I mean, we have seen in your and my career that things have changed drastically in last 20 years, for that matter. When we started vis-a-vis where we stand today, maybe it has changed for us, and we have to find out whether it has changed for the younger people or not. But at least now there are more people, more leaders available. But the only thing I miss from many women practitioners, teachers, and I will say scientists is this very fact that the documentation and dissemination of their life and work is much lagging. Because probably media, society, everybody is seeking to look at more men, or men may be doing it more than women are doing because women are engaged in other activities. So that is why we have also taken this responsibility. As long as I am there in the Wiki Water Resource Council, in the national presidency, and you are our one of our advisors, so it becomes easier for us to really work on this direction. We have almost reached 100 people in the council, so we really want to document everybody's life. If not 10,000, I know there are maybe more than 10,000 women leaders in the country in the water sector alone. But at least we have started with that little effort of bringing those 100 women out on the in the space. My question to you, because you were already talking about leadership, the next question is on, since leadership is a genderless role, there are some skills and attributes which comes inherent to the person, or which people look up to into the leader. Like, for example, in my case, I strongly believe that I should be at the back and let people do it. And, we have to take people along with us. And that mindset has to be there in a leader. But what do you think? What are some of the tangible skill sets one requires? And thank you for mentioning that at IIT you have the leadership course. And I would like to self promote myself here, because I run independent courses where leadership is one of the courses which I conduct, even for political leadership, by the way, and then how women can be leaders. So I just want to understand from you, what are the basic skill set a person is looking at a leader, you know, or in general in the society, and particularly if the leader is woman.
Yeah, I think if you look at um, the leader should be able to, you already said it once, like leaders should be able to support from behind, let your
Yes.
group perform, give them all the skill sets, and you can handhold them, but then you have to, at some point you have to let them go, and just watch. It's just like your own kids. uh no I mean, I that's what I work, that's how I work with my
Hmm.
PhD students also. So um and at some point, I think when you have to be assertive also, particularly
Hmm.
for negotiating
Hmm.
uh, for your group, for the betterment of your group. You should be assertive. Many times I find that lacking in women, myself included, right? You
Hmm.
always try to accept,
Hmm.
uh, and you don't fight. You don't have the tendency to fight. And no, it's not like really fight for the betterment, or no, for your rights, basically.
Hmm.
um, Fight. That there are a lot of things where in a shared group, that you have to be assertive, and you need not be rude. Most often when women are assertive, It is always
Yes,
taken
seen
as,
as, yes, very well put. That's cultural.
yeah, but cite examples, and bring up what others have done, and then you can have your say on what you're trying to say. So you have to be assertive for the benefit of your group, uh, so that they are not at a disadvantage
Hmm.
because you are just trying to be a nice person. You cannot
Hmm.
always be a nice person.
Hmm.
That is also, I feel, one of the drawbacks. Women are always asked when they are raised like that. You
Hmm.
should be very nice to everybody, smiling face. No, that doesn't work when you're taking a leadership role.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to show your other face, and no,
But we have more acceptance for men being so strong and stiff. But we would like women to be more, of course, polite, volatile,
yeah,
even to the extent of being vulnerable,
yeah.
even in the
You
top
don't.
position.
Yeah, I think women have the best tools. No,
Hmm.
even though you don't have to yell or raise your voice.
Hmm.
You can be very
Hmm.
persuasive, and
Hmm.
I think women are good at it. No, they have
Hmm.
to use those skill sets as a leader.
Hmm.
Persuade even your own teammates. No, you don't have to boss over or
Yes,
make
absolutely.
them meet deadlines.
Very well put. I
So
think women also knows the difference between boss and leader.
yes, well,
Yes.
you can always get things done when you are persuasive and
Hmm.
explain why these things have to be done this way. Okay, both with your teammates and also when you are talking to your peers.
Hmm.
uh, when you're fighting for the rights of your teams, or no, generally in academia,
Hmm.
there is always limited funds or limited
Yes.
space. No, you miss out if you're not
Yes.
assertive and if you're not persuasive and in
Hmm.
getting things for your team.
Hmm.
So I think we have the tools already. We just have to put it, and I think women can be great decision makers.
Hmm.
That is all. Those are all the I think inherent skill sets. No, we don't just come up with we don't just blurt out even in meetings. I've noticed
Hmm. Hmm.
women
Hmm.
are not the first ones to voice their opinion.
Hmm.
Okay, but
They will
that
wait,
doesn't mean that
listen.
they are
Hmm.
weak, right? No,
No.
they are just looking at observing others' opinion and what others are out there. And generally, when the women speaks, it will be a little late, but it will be a very holistic, uh,
Yes.
taking into consideration all the other viewpoints and also voicing their opinion, which we have observed in many meetings.
Many, many meetings.
Yeah. So those are all the skill sets we inherently have. But when we are saying our opinion, we should be like loud and clear and firm. No,
Hmm.
most of the time women keep their voice down, thinking that that
Hmm.
is nice, that is supposed to be, the etiquette. Or
Hmm.
so I think then you are considered weak. So there is a
Hmm.
very, very thin line between
Hmm.
a weak person and how assertive you can always don't have to raise your voice. You can be assertive in your words, okay, and firm, and so the message is loud and clear, not your voice.
I think you articulated it so well, probably because we are all living through these kind of experiences in many of the occasions, and I'm sure you have also gone to many of these meetings where you are the only one, which is very common in my case as well. And then you are, silently listening to everybody and trying to find the right time where you can put your point across. I would still like to extend this question further to understand, are there some skill sets which can be nurtured or honed for when we find good students or, good youth around us? We can, because there is a course running there and there are certain skill sets. For example, I strongly talk about art of public speaking
Mhm.
is a very important skill set one should really learn if they don't have it.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning about voice, and then I add voice modulation and animation, and making people hear you, listen to you, or look at you. Do you think there are other skill sets which can be nurtured amongst leaders, and it can apply to anybody for that matter?
I also feel like apart from speaking, mannerisms,
Yes.
uh,
How
the
do you?
way you walk into a room, the way you look around, how you
Mm.
start a conversation, what when in your networking sessions, how what is the way in which you introduce yourself, a firm handshake. These are all the little
And
subtle messages.
absolutely, and of course the content of the of the day.
Yes, it speaks louder than the words. No,
Mm, mm.
so I think that is what probably the women out there have to be taught. We can do a role play to highlight what is the right way of doing things, an assertive woman versus a very soft-spoken woman, and what kind of an impact it has. We can have both men and women in the room and uh, ask them to respond. What is
Yes.
their opinion? So I think body language
Mm.
that plays a very important role, which is not taught anywhere. Most of
No.
the time, good leaders pick it up on their own, looking at others, but many of them don't have that. No, you don't look for those things. So
Mm.
beyond what we speak, I think
Mm.
mannerisms and body language will be a great uh, training session when we have
Mm.
these leadership programs.
Yes, absolutely. And I think amongst all of these skill sets, most important is the subject matter on which you are going to talk about, to have a good vocabulary when you are engaging in the conversation there. And
Of
we
course,
we
yeah.
we are blessed with having references, so we can always put references along with what we are saying. That helps, to have that assertiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just take you to the next round of question, which is very simple. You were already mentioning about the importance of network, and I want to elaborate that question and ask you, especially from your own experience, from where you started and where you stand today, where you are all over in many boards and associations, and also as our advisor in Wiki Water Resource Council. Would you think how should young people look at the role of networks and platforms? Because often people are seeking some immediate advantages out of it, you know. And I have been saying that network is as only good when you make use of it and when you contribute to the network. It's not one way. But how do you think networks, associations, councils have affected or influenced your own career? And what do you give advice for the younger generation about
Yeah, I think networks is a very having these particularly women focused networks. We didn't have that many when we were
it?
in
Yes,
the stage of career. No, nowadays I think it's a big advantage for women out there. Really feels good to go and meet and talk to other women,
mm,
particularly from the engineering background. We don't see many women who,
yes. Even in college, it was women starving department, I
yeah.
suppose.
So I'm always very excited when I go to these specific women-centered programs, and it gives you a lot of strength. You
Mm,
derive strength when you're talking to the other women, who have also gone through similar pathways, and also learn from their experiences. We derive strength from each other, uh, and very heartening to see like many women achievers out there. Most of
mm,
the time, like even in the World Water Week, I was surprised with
yes,
large percentage of women
yes, it was equal,
civil.
equal
Yeah,
partnership. Mm,
yes. So these are the things we should strive to achieve in every college. Have you can always have other events, but I think it's good to have when you are a minority. I think it's good to lean on the shoulders of others, okay, and derive strength from that. And organizations like Wiki, I think, should facilitate
yes,
meetings like this. No,
yes.
women-centered groups. We can have like conferences, workshops, And not only to women in career, I think we should also reach out to women in the community.
Absolutely.
They are kind of, no, they don't have any such support systems.
Hmm.
We as women also have a moral responsibility to bring up women in the lower strata of the community, support them, and see in what way we can integrate, our activities with them, like particularly in water and sanitation. Most of that work
Hmm.
is done by the women,
Yes.
both in sanitation and solid waste and housekeeping. Those are the people, like in IIT also we have a housekeeping staff, and so we make sure that we interact with them once. I'm the chairperson of the Women's Forum, so on Women's Day we have events. We reach out to them, ask them if they have any issues, or otherwise we don't get a chance to get their opinions. So we try to make it inclusive for all strata of women, apart from women in our own fields.
Yeah, wonderfully put. Because when we started working on the Wiki Water Resource Council, I also realized that working on one professional woman is also equivalent to really, having that spillover effect or ripple effect to influence many other women as well who are more marginalized or probably vulnerable. And we met at World Water Week, and I was talking about my project on disaster-led displacement and women being affected by it. When we see women in everyday life, they are more affected. And when we look at these kind of situations where disasters happen, they are yet more affected in many, many ways, particularly water and sanitation. And when we look at even the youth of today, and we see that there are equal number of women joining the courses, but somehow they evaporate, they disappear from the mainstream profession. We don't know where they go. And that is where it is extremely important. We not only hold the women from the vulnerable community, but also give them this hope, the youth community, where they can really see that it is possible to chart a path or a career in water sector as well. So it is, at the same time, it is also a responsibility on our shoulders to see that the time which we took in our career around 20 years, maybe our younger generation may take 2 years, 5 years and reach where we are. And that's why we are working towards it. Sisterhood is extremely important, and that's what I think we are trying to do in Wiki Water Resource Council. But I think it's a good time also, I may request you to start Wastewater Resource Council, because it is not there in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Why not? So that we can have more footprint of women experts in from there. We also do not have Solid Waste Council in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So maybe these are probable councils we can think of. Not that I'm going to start it, because I think my hands are full with Water Resource Council, but we can always work together and expand the footprint out there.
Wastewater is part of water.
Yeah, but we can still take it more in a larger way, because what happens is that when we talk about water, the general perception, just like leader, the general perception is male. When we talk about water, the general perception comes as water alone. So it's a good idea that we consider wastewater also as an independent resource apart from. Personally, to me, it is all wastewater. There is no water in this planet, because we are constantly treating it and making it potable, but that's the science part of it. But I think that brings an end to my section of the questions to you, and I hope you are enjoying this conversation. We really try to keep it easy on our guest, because at the end of the day, we are trying to really make it more letting people know that these humans have worked the profession. Of course, it has not been easy, but it's a good time that we acknowledge and appreciate their contribution. So I will now open the floor to take questions from people who are around here, and maybe then I will hand it over to Anubhuti, because she has a couple of interesting questions at the end, very easy questions, and you have answered many of them. But if there are any questions, I know Chandra, you had question, and if there are any questions from anybody, you may now unmute yourself and ask Indumathi. Is would you like to ask any question, any of the participants? And let me just check also YouTube if there is any question.
Yes,
for you.
Mansi. I'll
Go
take
ahead, Ajit sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Indumathi ma'am, good evening to you and namaskar. I know that see, most of the time, I was also been feeling because I have been in a head of institutions in many departments, and we had a challenging, occasions also. UGC passed one new rule in our engineering institution that 25% of the faculty has to be women. So I was the head of the department, and I had to bring in women as lecturers and senior positions, and I had a tough time. And of course, I confided in one lady who was there, and she was very, very mature and very understanding, and she was in the electrical department. So I took the cue and got along in the electrical department, like electrical, electronics, communication, automation, control engineering. I brought in four young graduates, young, say, lecturers, and I had to handhold them and take them along very well. But of course, we had tough time. But then slowly, it improved, and the women force behaved so well that they outsmarted men in various positions, and they were so helpful in bringing in the supervisory level also. They mean that is one thing which I like in women is they are very in case in case they know the subject and they are given enough freedom, they are very communicative, and they should be given enough freedom.
Would you like to add something on what he said?
Yeah, I mean, we lost him, I think.
Yes, I think we lost his connection. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he was trying to make a point that women, when given the right opportunity and training, are doing a much better job than men. That is coming from him. I think it is a really um, very nice. Of course, I think opportunity that is what we are all lacking. The women out there, 25%. A lot of the government has initiated a lot of schemes. 25% in academic institutes. I think there's a 30% in boards of companies. And yeah, already we have reservation in the colleges for women entering colleges at all levels, state and central. So all these are good initiatives by the government, which will definitely make a big response in the coming years.
Absolutely. I think we all have to make a contribution to these initiatives, because I think people like you and me would like to live a day in our own lives when we don't have to really talk about men and women. We can talk about here is a water problem. Let's go and solve it. And because as humans, we are creating the problem. So as humans, we should go and solve it. But till the time we reach that position, because there is so much of gender gap there, because we are still talking about 1 in 5 water professional is only woman, and in India it is less than 1 in 10. So it's a good time to also tell this. Personally, I would really like to live a day before I leave this planet that we are not talking about men and women. We are just talking about the problem and we are going out and solving it. But having said that, to reach there, we all have to work towards it. Government is doing its bit, society has to do its bit, and also as leaders and in the water sector, because water sector itself is a minority sector. And within that, women becomes even more minority, less than 20%, less than 10% in India. So we have a long way to go, but we have to start somewhere. We have started, and we hope to continue this journey. But thank you so much, Indumathi. I hand it over to Anubhuti for her last 2 interesting questions, and also she'll do the vote of thanks for all of us. Over to you, Anubhuti. Thank you, Indumathi.
Thank you, Mansi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mansi, for asking those wonderful questions. I think it was lovely hearing Dr. Indumati's point of view about women leadership and how women have contributed in the water sector. My last few questions with you is related to youth and gender in the water sector. So my first question is, any message that you would like to tell the youth who are joining the water sector, that they are taking up the water professionals? Any message that you would like to share with them, the youth?
The youth in general, yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
whoever is joining the water sector.
yeah, I think water sector has a tremendous future. We keep hearing these messages, right? The next world war is going to be on water. I hope it doesn't happen. There is we all have a responsibility to stop that. And with the climate change, I think the water issues have been even more exacerbated. Droughts, floods, water quality, all these are a huge opportunities um, for the young in the next decade. I think the youth of today have tremendous opportunities in water. So if you choose water, you will not have any regrets in your career. There's a huge potential for career growth, whatever it is. I think you can be a researcher, you can be working in large water companies. There are going to be more and more corporates coming up in the water sector, or being an entrepreneur. You know, there's a lot of opportunity. The government is supporting several schemes for entrepreneurs, more for women entrepreneurs. There are tremendous opportunities at state and central government. So I think environment and water in specifically has a huge potential in the coming years.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Indumati. My last question to you is, how do people like us who have just joined the water sector make the water sector more inclusive? Like, how can we have more women-friendly sectors and engender the water sector in general?
Um, you mean in terms of research, or you're looking at water?
Overall, like, yeah, overall, how can we have a more inclusivity in the water sector?
Well, I think um, already we have these things in place, but the encouragement from the government to have more women. And I think livelihood opportunity is one thing we have to create in the water sector while we are working on improving the water availability and water quality. If we can bring in a lot more livelihood opportunities for women in the community, in the lower levels of the community, through our water projects, I think that will be a big win. So inclusive from the women, all and inclusive from the economic point of view. So like one example is like when we are looking at like lake restoration projects, we are always trying to see what can be like the water hyacinth, and there can be other things which we are removing from the lake, or we are creating an ecosystem around the lake. So can we involve women in making products from these type of waste which are removed from the lake, or maintaining the treatment systems which we are, the skill development is important. Lots of treatment plants that are going to come in the near future around, every small community. So can we give them the right skill sets so they can be operators and maintenance managers of these water systems, right? Whether it is flood protection system like stormwater drainage, or whether it is water treatment systems, can we empower the local women in the community by giving them the right skill sets, giving them like certificates for trained operator. We can arrange these training programs, okay, and give them a livelihood opportunity through the water project. So that will be a win-win. No, we are going to achieve what we want in the water sector, plus we are creating livelihood opportunities for women folk. Okay, and yeah, as much as possible, as leaders are already established leaders should go and encourage women or girls in the schools to get involved in water projects, show them the opportunities, show them the role models, and make sure that the girls enroll and choose water sector as their career choice. Should start from there. Okay, and then we can working with the school kids, working with the rural schools, particularly they don't have these exposures. So rural schools, government schools, I think we should empower the girls from the school level, and also empower the community who don't have access to all this knowledge.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Indumati. I think being a part of Wiki Water Resource Council has itself played a very important role in my life, because when I see all of you, like the people who have spent a lot of years in the water sector already, and when I see people of my age who have just started their research in the water sector, I sort of take inspiration and I feel, yes, out there I can achieve something. And so this council itself plays a very important role in my life when I meet you all and when I learn from your journey. So that's a very good encouragement in my life. Thank you so much. I hope you had a lovely conversation on today's session. It was a very enlightening interaction, and I felt the conversation was flowing like a water and thus enjoyed it a lot. I hope you felt the same and enjoyed the conversation. May you remain an inspiration to others. We are so grateful to have learned about your journey in the water sector. May you continue your water activities and please keep us posted about Water Chakra or any entrepreneurship programs that you are conducting. We shall continue with our Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water every Monday at 5 p.m. And we look forward to learning from more women in the water sector. You may please follow us on our social media platforms for regular updates. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Please take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Indumathi. Thank you so much, and see you soon, hopefully. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks all of you, all the participants here.